Morning. Dylan, this doesn't seem to be on. Good morning. I can use my teacher voice. Dylan says, oh, now it's on. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for coming out in the midst of a heat wave into our lovely temperate space. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Ogden. I'm Holly Leek, and I'm your worship associate today. Please put your phones on silent, but feel free to take pictures of the service and to post what you hear or see online. Send the message to the broader community. If anyone would like to make an announcement, we're open to that right now. And Suzanne, where'd you go? Suzanne would be happy to give you a microphone. It's completely optional, but if anyone would like to express a joy or a sorrow for the community, you're welcome to do so now. If not, Suzanne will play the mic by flicking it. Okay, no problem. I do have one little joy that I'd like to share because I see her here today and I saw in the newsletter that it's Sandy's birthday. Happy birthday, Sandy. If you're new here today, welcome and thanks for coming. Please fill out a visitor card in the pews and put it in the offering basket when it comes by later. And please stay and chat with us after the service. The UU Church is an open, tolerant place where diversity of thought is encouraged and sought and appreciated. It doesn't matter who you love or how you identify yourself. We come here because we want to think for ourselves. We ask questions, value the exchange of ideas, want to hear from others, and want to be challenged. There are a range of beliefs among those here. Generally, though, we believe in caring for the planet and caring for one another. We are a lay-led ministry, which means the messages come from everyone here. Accordingly, the presence of each and every one of you adds to the atmosphere, and we're glad you're here.
Yeah, bring the scene.
Our call to worship today is titled Children of the Earth and Sky and is written by Alice Berry. Children of the earth and sky, we are nurtured, sustained, given warmth and light from above and below. Supported by Earth's strong, firm crust, we build our homes, till the fields, plant our gardens and orchards. When we turn from self and seek to be aware, we will find holy light in the human faces, in blossom, birdsong, and sky. Then Earth is truly our home, and we are one with all Earth's creatures, parents of Earth's children yet to be. Carol has volunteered to light the chalice for us today. Please join us in lighting our chalice. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, for the light of truth, and for the energy of action. Thank you, Carol. Please join us for the opening hymn. Joseph, did you need to say anything about this?
No. This is a great hymn. It's number 134. Our world is one world.
Once again, the gray hymnal. We want to welcome our guest speakers, Angela Choberka, Justin Owen, and Jacob Cain. Angela is Vice Chair of the Community Renewable Energy representing Ogden City and a nearly 5-year member of the Ogden City Council. A member of the Ogden community for over 16 years, Angela and her husband have been involved in the community in a number of ways as they raise their 2 children. An avid social justice advocate, Angela finds Ogden to be a city with the perfect size and scope for meaningful community member involvement. Justin and Jacob come to us from Weber State University, where they are involved with the university's Climate Action Plan and Sustainability Plan. Our guest today will help us understand the Community Renewable Energy Program and the decisions the community will need to make if we want to continue to participate in efforts to be more responsible energy consumers. Please welcome them.
Morning. Good morning, everyone. So nice to be here. Good morning back here. I feel bad having my back to you. Well, thank you. I know many of you in the audience, and I appreciate so much being invited to speak about this program. It's been a labor of love for all of us up here for the past year or so. So first of all, I just want to say thank you so much to our partners at Weber State Sustainability. Council members are part-time positions, and most of us have daytime jobs and other expertise, whereas we need experts in our community and other stakeholders to help us when we come to make some of these decisions, because it's not necessarily what we study, certainly not in this space. I'm learning as quickly as I can, but I really appreciate their support. So the first thing I just want to say is it'll be very hard to cover every element of this program in just 20 minutes in this presentation. So I want to ensure that you all have access to resources, and you certainly can always reach out to me at Angela Choberka at ogdencity.com. You can find that on the Ogden City Council website if you have additional questions. So I'm going to share with all of us, you can see it here on the screen, but I'm also sharing it. Oh, is it already sharing here? Okay, good. Okay, sorry about that. So we're looking at the page on the website for Utah 100 communities, and I'm following the program overview. So I don't think everyone's able to see it. So it's utah100communities.org, and that's /overview. So you can find a lot of details on that website. So the first thing, just to say, an overview of the program is that it was actually enacted through legislation in 2019. It was called House Bill 411 at that time. And now at that time, 23 communities were actually eligible to participate in the program. And now there's about 13 that are actually following through and participating. So it's not 100 communities. What it means actually is that these communities are committing to using renewable energy sources by 2030, 100% of their renewable energy by 2030. So that's what the 100 stands for. So you can actually subscribe on this website to receive updates. And the presentation that I'm actually going to be showing is here on this page called Community Renewable Board Orientation, July 13, 2021. And obviously, it's not July 2021 anymore, but I think this presentation is helpful, and it will help you to see all the details if you need to. So I'm going to switch over to that presentation now. Maybe. Here we go. So as we look at this, the agency was actually developed just in the past year, and the agency consists of all of the different communities that are involved in the project, and Ogden is one of those. So we committed to certain costs so that we can participate and have a voting seat, and that's where my seat is, representing Ogden City. And so that group is now the organization that's governing over how we go about creating this program. As I mentioned, the vision of the program is to make sure that we are net 100% renewable electricity by 2030. And that doesn't mean that we would necessarily every house in the city would have solar panels or something like that, but we would invest in resources that would help us get to that point. And that's what our other folks at Weber State Sustainability will help explain in just a few moments. Some challenges we have around it is the program is actually an opt-out program. So if our community decides to stay involved in the program, all electrical customers in Ogden City would automatically be included. So we see immediately that there's some challenges with that because we have a certain demographic in our community that maybe can't afford necessarily if their costs were to increase, even by a small percentage. We know that the program is committed to staying within probably about 10% increase if possible, but we're still very concerned about what the impact might be for those community members and people living on kind of a fixed income. And we'll send out communications to explain that about the program, but we're also really concerned that they understand what it means if they opt out or stay in. So that's a big issue for us. We also have a city that is very industrial based, right? We have a lot of industrial customers. So a lot of times those companies or organizations in our community might already have an agreement with Rocky Mountain Power about how they're getting their energy or how they're saving money, and they would not be included in the program. Also, all customers that have solar panels currently would not be included in the program. So that's some things that we're thinking about to make sure that we're doing the best we can for the community. So I'm just going to skip over a little bit of these slides, but if you want more detail, you can definitely look at them. And you can also, again, contact me. So you can see there's a lot of different levels of things that need to happen on this timeline, but I'm not going to go into all those details. I want to show you this little slide right here. So you can see that the governance agreement was created in June 2021. And we're working on the design of the program, what maybe the projected cost might be for customers, whether it would stay stable over the course of the program or whether it might fluctuate with Rocky Mountain Power. And then we have to certainly get the program elements approved by the Utah Commission that will help to agree to this term or not. So it's kind of a very detailed situation where we have consultants and lawyers involved, and we had to commit to help pay for that already. In the next couple of months, we'll be talking at the council about whether we want to continue participating or not. So I highly encourage you to stay engaged in this process and see if you think it's the right thing for our community as well. So the governance agreement, as I mentioned, there's lots of different issues, but we basically have one representative, which is me for the community, and we have an alternate, which is Mayor Brown, who's the Director of Management Services of the city. So the administrative side has also committed a lot of time and effort to this project. And this just explains a little bit about the percentages of cost, as well as percentages if we go into the program, how much weight our vote will have. So you can see that these are all the cities that were eligible at the time of this presentation. So there's quite a list. And then the costs are divided up based on how much electricity we use and then where we are. So at this point, we committed to about $71,000 for just the basic cost of just, getting the program set up. And then we'll have to see how much we want to spend on communicating with the community once we determine if we want to stay involved. So like I said, that's a very high level of the different elements. And there's the website again. And then I really want to turn over most of the time to our folks from Weber State Sustainability to talk about what the utility rates, how they're calculated and what that looks like. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Justin Owen. I am Weber State's energy manager. So I've been heavily involved with the energy efficiency and renewable projects on campus. And when House Bill 411 passed, I distinctly remember we were in the Union Building ballrooms at Weber State, and I was sitting down. I can't remember what the event was, and the university president came and sat down next to me. I don't know how many of you know Brad Mortensen. And we both looked at each other, and I said, "I have a question for you." And he said, "I have a question for you." And it was the same question. What does House Bill 411 mean for the university and for the community at large? So the university has been participating mostly in an advisory role, as we do have a good amount of experience between Jacob and myself in dealing with the utility, understanding how all of these things work. I will say that there's a few very unique things about this initiative. One is it's based on geography, right? If a community opts in, then the renewable energy applies to every customer within a geographic area, the boundaries of that city, unless they opt out. That's very unique. The other very unique thing is this is not being initiated by the customers necessarily in a direct way, but was initiated through the legislature. So the legislature has passed a directive mandating the utility to provide this service for the cities themselves. So there's one focus slide I'd like to focus on here. How do we interpret this idea of net 100%? Right? So this only applies to cities that are within the Rocky Mountain Power Service territory. Ogden is one of those cities. Salt Lake, Moab, Springdale, Park City. There's been a few that have come in and dropped out. But the question then becomes, how do you interpret this idea of net 100? Right? So this doesn't necessarily mean that every electron coming into your house, if you're in this program, is coming from a renewable resource. What it means is on kind of an annual net basis, there are new renewable resources coming onto Rocky Mountain Power's grid that are providing enough power for all of those customers. I hope that makes sense. So once electrons go into the grid, you can't really control where they go. They kind of go everywhere at once. And the physicist over here is probably bristling a little bit at my simplified explanation. So I wanted to spend a little bit of time on this slide. So the utility, Rocky Mountain Power, just published what's called an integrated resource plan. Okay, they have all these different resources all over their geography. They go up into Idaho, Wyoming, Utah. They have some resources in Oregon. And what the integrated resource plan does is look at the next 10 years or so. In this case, it goes out to 2030, which is seeming closer and closer every day. And basically says, okay, what resources do we have that are reaching end of life? What are our environmental goals? What are the implications for cost? And they come up with a big plan of how they're going to change over that given time period. And so you can see here, the purple is the planned renewables that the utility already is building. Okay, renewables don't have any fuel cost and they have very low operations and maintenance cost. They have some other downsides that you have to deal with, but that's really, in addition to the new tax credits that are getting increased next year, that's really renewables advantage from an investment perspective. So the utility is doing that already. So you can see here on the right side of this slide, the utility is going to be 50–60% renewable at that 2030 goal. So what the program is trying to do is fill the rest of this gap, right? You have coal on the grid, you have gas on the grid. Those are going down over time just because of market forces. But the program's goal is to fill in that gap. Now, this orange bit at the top is efficiency mostly. They call it, what are they? Front office transactions, is that what they're calling it? No, it's energy efficiency, demand response. So that's users getting more efficient with their energy, so you have to provide less at the end of the day, right? And so as far as the process is concerned, we have all of these communities that are meeting on a regular basis. Salt Lake City and Park City are kind of leading the way. This whole thing was actually the brainchild of one of Salt Lake City Sustainability's former employees. We have a number of different committees. Angela already mentioned a few of those. And we're really getting into the weeds of what does this mean for cost? What does this mean for people that don't want to participate? How do we implement it? What kind of resources will we consider? So there's a lot of questions that are being discussed right now among the agency itself. And then once the agency has kind of settled some of these questions, and we do have some consultants on board, energy lawyers and some energy modelers, and Jake and I are here to kind of fact check them, which is necessary from time to time. So once the agency kind of has their ducks in a row and has decided this is how we want to approach this, then there comes a negotiation with the utility saying, hey, we think this is how the rate should be. The utility says, well, we think it should be this way. There's some discussion and some negotiation. And then there will be an application before the Public Service Commission, which is an appointed board that determines utility rates for the state as a whole. And then once that is done, then we can start issuing requests for proposals on new resources and actually get this underway. So again, the whole goal of the program is to kind of fill that gap in renewable energy. It looks like the projection says by about 2030, Rocky Mountain Power's grid will be about 35% fossil fuel, so coal and natural gas. So that the program needs to provide that 35% to get to that net zero. It will primarily be large wind and solar projects. There's a few other things that can be done, but from a financial perspective and from a kind of a proven technology perspective, those tend to be the easiest. So there's a lot going on, like I mentioned, in terms of the governance. These are interesting slides. The one I wanted to mention, so and I don't want to get too deep into the rate making process, but I think it's important to understand that there's a number of things that the utility has to consider when they're determining the rates for customers, right? The most obvious of those would be fuel cost, right? Natural gas, as we all know, gasoline's prices have been all over the place lately. Natural gas is doing the same thing. What the utility tries to do is recover their cost plus a small return to their investors. And so when they're creating their rate schedules, they're considering the operational expenses of the resources. There's this idea of avoided costs where if, let's say we make the grid more efficient, therefore we don't have to build a big new plant. There's some avoided costs that come into there. There's all these different things that come into play when determining that. Now, one thing I also wanted to mention is Weber State partnered with the city on doing a survey of Ogden City residents, both to determine, are they interested in a program like this? What are they willing to pay? And I don't remember the exact numbers off the top of my head, but it was a strong majority that favored having renewable energy in general, somewhere in the realm of 70, 80%, basically said, yes, I would like to have renewable energy for my home. And the interesting part for me was the willingness to pay, where we asked a question, what would you be willing to pay extra to get this renewable energy, was about in the realm of 7 to 9%. Now, what people say they're willing to pay and what they're actually willing to pay when the bill comes might be two different things. But from a kind of a programmatic perspective, for me, that was encouraging, knowing that that appetite was there. And it was a very robust survey. And I believe do we have the web? They're published somewhere, right?
Yeah, I sent the link to Dylan so we can.
Oh, okay. Great. So this the end of this presentation is just kind of where the utility is headed as a whole. I think that's the main points I wanted to cover. Jake, were there any other that you wanted to cover? You come on.
All right. So yeah, Jacob Cain, Weber State. I've been there for almost 2 decades, not quite. It's been a while. So I've been involved with the energy and sustainability there for quite some time. And as we've developed the program, you know, and I kind of want to spend some time talking about what's Weber State's role and kind of my role in the community aspect of this. Weber State, as we've moved through this energy program and made some significant progress, recognize the importance of our role in being part of the community and helping them. And I think the advantage we have there is we can kind of crash course through some of those obstacles and challenges that are involved in climate change and sustainability and the renewable energy program, which allows us to become technical experts and help the community with that. So that's why we've worked very closely with Ogden City on trying to be a resource for them and work on a program like this to help inform those decisions. So at the university, we have developed some community engagement programs. So to help as people in the community and members of Ogden City can come to the university and ask for questions or clarification on things like a program like this. It is a complicated system. As much as I'd love to say, yeah, it's really easy to understand what's going on here, it's not. There are a lot of pieces of work. There's a lot of information. So If anyone is interested in diving in a little deeper, you're definitely welcome to reach out to us at the university. We do want to help inform the community and help educate on decisions like these, to help understand how the power rates are developed and what role we can have in developing this. Part of that also as a university, we are moving forward with electrifying our university and then sourcing that electricity renewably. And how can we help inform and support the community in similar goals to help with renewable energy and air quality, and be a technical expert to help with cost management. We recognize the demographic we have in this community, and that cost tolerance is something we have to be very conscious of. So that's kind of all I wanted to add to what Justin had to say, is that we have resources available to help. And I think that's about where we're at time-wise. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And now let us pause. Take a moment to think, or just close your eyes, relax, drift into the space of sacred silence as you think about those on your mind. We send healing thoughts of love to those struggling with any of the troubles that can afflict us in life. Now whisper or speak the names of others, lifting them up in this sacred space. Blessings on all those named, and blessings too on those who named them. Blessings to all. Join me now in silent meditation or prayer. Amen. Now please join in calling for the offering. These words are from Caleb Parker, A Greater Good for Ourselves and Our World. We know that our financial contributions to this congregation come from sacrifice and hard work. We are so grateful for this and commit together to ensure the funds we gather collectively do a greater good for ourselves and our world than they could have done alone. May there be an offering to sustain and grow the life and mission of this congregation. May we give in love and in hope. After the, we forgot to instruct. Sorry. Hello? After the offering is passed, you're invited to come forward and light a candle of hope, memory, or gratitude. Thank you. Now please stand in body or voice and facing the center aisle, sing together the offering song. Thank you for giving. This money helps this church, helps us in our effort to improve the world in big ways and small. And now please join us for the closing hymn in the soft-bound teal hymnal, hymn number 1074, Turn the World Around.
We come from the fire, living in the fire, go back to the fire, turn the world around. We come from the water, living in the water, go back to the water, turn the world around. We come from the mountain, living on the mountain, go back to the mountain, turn the world around.
We need maracas for that song. As the service comes to an end, join me in saying the chalice extinguishing words in your order of service. Sorry, we don't have an order of service. But the closing words are the same as the starting words. We extinguish this chalice,
but not the warmth of love, the light of truth, nor the energy of action.
Okay, we're figuring this out. Thank you for joining us in service today. Please come downstairs and join us in the fellowship hall for coffee and conversation. and have a great week thinking about sustainability and our energy situation.